Hello again, Year 9. So in this lesson we're looking at the challenges and opportunities for human beings, for people who live in hot deserts. And we're going to use a case study. The case study is the Thar Desert. We're going to locate it first and explain some of the challenges and opportunities with a view to being able to evaluate those challenges and opportunities next lesson. So please write today's date and this title in your book and pause to write down 5 adaptations of the dromedary camel and state how that adaptation helps them to survive the hot desert environment. For example, don't just put that they have long eyelashes. Say that they have a double row of long eyelashes to protect their eyes from blowing sand. Okay, you will want to pause now to do 5 of these. And here are the answers. Please pause now and check your answers. So on to the Thar Desert. Well, last lesson, the plenary task was to think about the challenges that humans face if they live in the hot desert environment. Today we're going to examine that more closely by using a case study, and the case study is the Thar Desert, as I said at the beginning. It's a good case study to use because the Thar is actually the most populated desert on Earth. So whatever the challenges are, people have managed to overcome them, at least to a certain extent, in this place. We'll also see that there are many opportunities that the desert offers. And next lesson, we will begin to evaluate those opportunities and challenges. But first, we need to locate the Thar and find out what life is like there. Here's the map we've been using throughout this unit of work, and there's an arrow there pointing to the Thar Desert. So as you can see, it's just north of the Tropic of Cancer. And if we zoom in a little, well, zoom in quite a lot, I've put a yellow highlight around the area of the Thar Desert. The white line shows the borders between different countries. So you can see, I hope, that the Thar is on the border of 2 countries, India and Pakistan. The environment of the Thar Desert consists of sandy hills, extensive mobile sand dunes. Now that means that they are large sand dunes and they're mobile, meaning they move. The expression "be constantly shifting sands" springs to mind. There are clumps of thorn forest. So these trees that you see here, they'll be the largest bits of vegetation in the area, and then there's some grasses and a few small shrubs, but it's not particularly lush, as you would expect, what with it being a very hot desert. So what challenges do people who live in the Thar Desert face? Well, when you were thinking about this for your plenary task, I imagined that you thought about the climate, how there wasn't very much rain and there's very high temperatures, that the soil is very infertile, meaning that it's very difficult to grow food there. But I wonder if you also recognised the human challenges. It's a difficult place to get around, and that's what accessibility means. This can result in some areas being very isolated from others. And there are political and economic difficulties as well. Now, in the coloured text, I've put a little bit more detail on it. So this is the sort of thing we need to be thinking about when answering questions. So if the question were to name the challenges that people face in the Thar Desert, you could just say what I've got here in the black bold writing. But if you were to describe or explain those challenges, then you would need to have some detail, and the details what I've put there. And you don't need to copy this down, but what I would like you to do is to pause for a moment and read this to yourselves, paying attention to the detail that's in there. So in an ideal world, we would be able to go on field trips to all of the places that we study in geography. However, it's simply impossible. Therefore, I've found an excellent programme. It's a documentary about life in the Thar Desert. Now, you're not going to watch the whole thing because we simply don't have time in one live lesson event. Therefore, you need to pause now, write down these 15 questions, and I suggest that you leave one line between each one so that you can write the answers in. When you go to the clip and answer the questions, you'll find that these are in the same order as these questions here. So when you've got to question 15 and you get the answer to that, then just let it run on a little bit until it gets to 21:32, and then stop and come back to this lesson having completed your answers. Now, at the end of this lesson, we're really only halfway through the task because we're working up to be able to answer questions like using an example of a hot desert in a poor area of the world, describe the economic opportunities found there. So you could sort of get about a third of the way into a good answer for that at this point, but we don't have enough information yet, and there simply isn't time in just one lesson to do it. So next lesson, we will continue with the second part of the clip about life in the Thar, and we're going to look for some more information too, and then you'll be able to look at some real exam questions, and I'll discuss with you how to construct some very good answers. So in the meantime, I hope that your notes are complete on this before we go any further, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.